Knock, knock.
Who's there?
The Hapless Heroes!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Hapless Heroes podcast. In fact, the last episode of the Hapless Heroes podcast of 2020.
Woo.
Joining me tonight is a fantastic cast of characters. You know them, you love them. They are Dave as Zero, Valen's Avatar of War.
Good evening.
Mike as Lord and Captain Quinn Southwind.
Who is knocking? Who is that knocking?
Nicole as Boris the Butcher.
I'm going to climb this damn cube.
Phil as Hedrick the Entertainer.
Be careful up there, Boris. It won't be there forever.
And John as Lord Jarrell the Light.
Is someone going to get to the door?
So, last time on the show, you guys had defeated the doppelganger of Jarrell for a second time. And Hedrick had trapped an injured Archcleric Bronson, or, what you guys at least knew to be Archcleric Bronson, in a force cage in the middle of combat. And instead of finding a way out of there or just waiting his time out in the 1 hour that it would exist in the world, he instead passed a save and transported himself to potentially another plane of existence and has disappeared. The headless corpse of Jarrell lays on the floor, and you guys are at the top floor of the spire in High Rock. And during the middle of a short rest, and waiting out the time on the force cage, because there's still about 30 minutes left on that to be able to examine the orb that was on top of that race platform that Bronson seemed to have been manipulating to do lots of magical things. There's a frantic knocking happening at the chamber door. And I feel like I flip-flopped on this a lot as far as whether or not this door handle has a knob, and I keep forgetting it does not have a knob. So we're going to open back up into the room. One thing I'm going to have you guys notice, in addition to the knocking at the door, there's some things happening in the room. Would you mind everybody just making me some perception checks?
Natural 20.
Ooh, dog it.
15.
21.
Nat 20.
Wow.
Apparently Jarrell's the only one not paying attention. Go figure.
Well, what you notice, then, most of you at least, is that the hand has gone missing again at some point during all the, chaos and also the short resting time from the Jarrell's corpse. In addition to that, the head that was removed from its body before then its top half was also removed from its lower half by Jarrell. Its face is not Jarrell's anymore. In fact, you can see it almost like still changing before your very eyes, even though it's dead. And now the face inside that helmet appears to resemble the Archcleric Bronson.
Oh shit.
In addition to that, above you, there's no longer that, starry, sort of swirly, projection that was happening before that Bronson seemed to have been creating and commanding. It's now just, you can see the rafters, right, and some of the higher windows where like the bells are in the spire, and there's ravens perched on some of the rafters once more. The knocking continues.
Hold there, fellas. Somebody grab that head.
I suppose Jarrell will go and pick up the head, not knowing that it doesn't look like him anymore. It looks like Bronson. And he will be shocked to see that. What should we do with this?
Do we still have the second helmet? Second helm? Like the doppelganger's helm?
Boris was wearing it.
Boris was trying to wear it, yes.
I believe I did successfully briefly wear it, but I took it off.
It's too heavy for your head, yeah.
Like sitting on the ground, like, 3 steps from where I started wearing it.
Clearly, this is not Bronson's head, but whoever is coming through that door cannot see his face. Or any other incriminating faces it might turn into. Who knows what the hell this thing is?
Jarrell will use Divine Sense again.
Yeah, nothing alive. Yeah, no fiends or undead or anything like that you can detect that are alive.
Zero makes his best approximation of a sigh. With as many people as we killed, you'd think we'd be better about hiding bodies.
Boris pulls out a disguise kit and quickly draws a mustache on the face.
Oh my god. Okay, that happens.
Hedrick would at least want to grab a bandana from his costume kit and try to, shroud it in some fashion, wrap it up.
Which, the face, the head?
Yeah, the head.
Yes, this doesn't make us look guilty at all.
Now, hold on. Boris hid, giant potato sacks in her outfit. Boris, is there any way that you could dispose of this quickly?
While that's going on, Zero is going to go towards the other side of the door and, seems we're having a little bit of difficulty operating the door. Once we can get this thing figured out, we'll be right with you.
Boris pulls the pocket out.
Okay, so you said you open a pocket?
Yep, Boris stretches a pocket out way further than you would need to drop a head in, and just holds it in the direction of the head.
Oh my god. Okay. Just the head.
Just the head.
Does someone put the head inside of...
Yeah, if Hedrick's holding it, he wrapped it up, and then she holds the pocket open, and he just plops it right in there.
Okay, you now are in possession of the severed head of the Doppel.
Which is a fake mustache and is wrapped in a bandana, if I understand correctly.
Yes.
Seeing that, is there a visible way to open the door from this side?
No.
Fair enough. It helps when Zero isn't lying. He is so bad at it.
And then you can hear further, some voices from the other side of the door now saying, Archcleric, Bronson, are you okay? Is everything going all right up there? Archcleric? You there!
Yeah.
Whoever was speaking before.
Yeah.
Where is the Archcleric?
It's a great question, and I don't have a great answer for you.
That's it. Men, grab the battering ram!
Oh, great.
and there's a shuffle of footsteps.
Why don't we have a battery?
When's the last time we've needed one?
I don't know. Shit, that'd be cool.
I guess.
Seriously though, we still got some time on this force cage, and these fellas are gonna want to come in. Jabrel, isn't there anything you can say? I mean, is that magic field still occurring throughout the spire? Where do we even think that asshole went?
Jarrell really doesn't know what to say, and is trying to think of what he's going to tell them when they come in. There's really no good answer.
Well, I don't feel like I'm ready to start whooping ass on these guards, and I surely don't want them to, take care of us either. So we have to do something. We have to at least tell them something, or we have to be able to get our asses out of here.
The only thing I can think of is to tell them the truth, but who would believe it?
Well, I suppose we start with the truth, and we can just tell them the facts as they are, and they can either deal with it or not. As it occurs to me, we may be a difficult group to arrest.
It's never stopped anyone before.
A lot of people who have tried to arrest us for various things. They might not have had legal authority, but turns out, well, you've been around this world long enough to know that in most cases, might makes right.
You hear another familiar voice from outside of the door. Sounds like Shelly from just outside of Pyron.
Yeah.
And you hear her saying, it appears that the ward has been removed from the door. Open it with haste. Who knows what these blasphemers may have done? I knew it was too good to be true with them spinning their tales of being holy. Jarrell still in the company of ruffians. Just look at the bodies here. Just look at the bodies on the floor before. Many sleeping, affected by vile magics. She's like shouting at some people from behind the door.
Jarrell is just going to open the door.
The moment you touch your hand to the door, it does swing right open.
Yeah.
You can see that Shalandria is standing there with a company of paladins, and another group of them are coming up the stairs now carrying a large, like, wooden and iron battering ram that they see that the door is open now, and you see them go, "Oh, come on!" And they're like, they start
all this thing up 5 flights of stairs.
We gave him the best gift of all, anticlimax.
And now Jarrell's standing there. You can see Shelly's looking into the room, and she sees that there is a headless corpse of someone wearing regal, holy armor. And she just looks at you and says, Jarrell, what have you done?
So Jarrell will just be direct with her. We were sent here by Popeson, as I told you when we arrived. We came up to meet with Bronson, and he attacked us. My divine sense told us he was not human, but we tried to capture him, and he teleported himself to another dimension. And I'm going to roll a persuasion.
You should do that. Yes.
And it's okay. So 22.
Yeah, that beats the insight of 16 that she rolled, and she just says,
Jarrell is trying to think of a way to prove it to her. And he's looking around the room. Now, is the orb still in
The orb's still set onto that, like platform or like plinth or whatever it was on.
But it's inside the cage, and you can see the cage, right?
But the cage is, you can see through it, right? That you can't even see that the cage is there until you touch it.
Okay. So I will explain. Shelly, come with me real quick. We tried to capture him in this, and Jarrell will like put his hand and then take her hand and put it on.
She recoils her hand because, no touching. But does follow your lead and place her hand on the invisible force barrier.
Now, if you'll just be patient with us, it's got about, and Jarrell like looks around for like what would be a watch or a time, about 27 minutes left on it.
And she says, this is a lot to take in. Also, who is dead? Who did you murder?
It was me.
You can
At
see
least it
like
looked quite a bit like me.
You can see like her eyes almost cross as she's like trying to like make sense of all of the things that you're saying.
Do you know what a doppelganger is, Shelly?
I've read about them in books. But
Well, it appears I'm better than mine.
You had a doppelganger in our very midst here.
Yes, he attacked me. He was quite powerful, but I again bested him.
Then he was a green skeleton, and then we bested him a second time.
What do you mean a green skeleton?
He came back as a skeleton. Or a skull head?
Something like that.
Oh my! And she starts looking around, and she starts reciting like blessings and prayers, like to try to reconsecrate the space, because now she just learned that an undead has walked in the midst of the holiest place that she knows.
Jarrell is kind of like poking around while she's doing that and saying, "Where did that hand go?" And he's just kind of scanning the room.
What is happening?
There seems to be a right hand on the loose. And Jarrell will do his terrible investigation, I suppose.
Well, your divine sense already turned up nothing.
Right. So I would know, because that hand was either a fiend. It was a fiend, right?
Well,
it was part of a fiend.
It was part of a fiend, yes.
So I don't know if that counts as its own fiend when it's...
Well, seeing as how it was able to get up and walk away even when it was not attached to the body, then it's safe to say that it's definitely a living thing, whatever it is, or unliving, whatever it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you do not detect it.
Okay. But he's still like poking around, like looking underneath things, and
like lifting the carpet.
Yeah, because we have 27 minutes, and you might as well. 26 minutes now, I bet.
The rest, like a lot of the company of like these sort of paladins and trainees, started to fill in the room a little bit and start taking stock. And you see one of them collects a blood sample from the dead headless, the sectioned off body that is laying across the floor.
It's in multiple pieces now.
Yeah.
It's been halved. It's been headed.
And actually, and then at one point, one of the paladins asks, "Where is the head? Did that run off too?"
Jarrell's not going to answer that.
Boris casually makes eye contact with not a single person in the entire room. Looks at the ceiling and the floor and her own fingernails.
As I recall, it did more of a rolling than a walking, but we seem to have lost track of it.
We must find it. We must identify this doppelganger, this evildoer.
Head pipe up. Have you ever heard or seen a doppelganger? They can change. Their face can be manipulated to whoever controls it. This thing could look like whatever it wanted to look like. I watched them change before my eyes. This so-called Bronson, He was just trying to kill Jarrell from the get-go and created his worst nightmare. Unfortunately, he failed. He did happen to get away. We have no idea where this character is, but I guarantee you that wasn't your Bronson.
Jeez, but I've known Bronson all my life. I just couldn't imagine he would do anything like this.
Jarrell puts his hand on Shelly's shoulder and says, I assure you, that wasn't the real Bronson.
She
The
whacks your
problem
hand away.
is,
She whacks your hand away again, because no touch.
the problem is the real Bronson is likely in grave danger. And as Jarrell says that, he'll walk. I wanted to check out the doppelganger's sword. And I want to pull that sword out of its sheath. It was unsheathed, probably.
Yeah, it's
and
laying on the
compare
ground.
it to the actual sword of justice.
So you pick up the sword.
Mm-hmm.
You feel this almost cold, like shooting pain go up your arm the moment you lift the sword. But now and you feel your grip tighten around it. As if it's almost like your muscles are constricting and just like gripping, like you're like white knuckling this sword now. And it's like your arm is actually almost starting to burn. It hurts a lot.
Is the only way to identify it an Arcana check, or can I do a religion check on this?
Well, first you're gonna have to like make me a Constitution saving throw.
Jarrell, you feel okay?
That's,
You know, he's literally like, I mean, it's more like one of those things where you're like holding onto it, and it's like literally like your arm feels like it's on fire. It's like, yeah, you know.
It's a 22.
Okay. You still take 12 cold damage, but you are able to drop the sword.
You said 12.
Yes.
So
And you can
it's
see that you can see that your like the skin on your arm, if you're able to see any skin that could be on your hand, has like turned almost like purple. Like you were experiencing rapid onset frostbite.
Jarrell will say, "Nobody touched that." And
Like yeah, just pull your hand away like you just touched a hot stove, you know?
right. Could I imagine or assume this is the sword of injustice?
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you just drop it to the ground.
I don't know if it's a sort of injustice. It seems to be behaving like it's made out of like frozen nitrogen or something though.
Right.
Dry ice.
Shalandria like sees the reaction you have when trying to pick up this sword, and she's starting to like piece it together now. She's like, well, you obviously encountered something very dangerous here. And I'm inclined to believe you, since, well, I can't imagine you would just come here to assassinate the Archcleric. That just seems ridiculous. But it still doesn't explain what was happening. We must wait. We must wait until this barrier is gone. We must examine what's going on.
Shalandria, something's been going on here for a long time. The people down in the waiting area were acting like they were on a loop, that they just kept performing these mindless tasks over and over again. Hell, I'm sorry, I let Boris and Quinn up here only because I knew something was wrong, and the only reason the door opened up was because I prayed to Valen. Something was happening here where these people were not acting on their own accord. They were almost programmed. And whoever was pulling the strings, I think, just skedaddled by scratching a line in the universe and crawling through the hole. I've never seen anything like this before, but there's a reason why this is the only structure of a temple survived in High Rock.
She says, stranger things have happened. So, it is not out of the realm of possibility. However, I'd urge you to remain in High Rock until we can get this mess sorted out. And we have to figure out what to tell to the people. They're already, at a boiling point. If we tell them that the Archcleric, or the acting Archcleric is somehow some evil agent, then that's not going to go over well, and whatever good faith the Church has left will soon dissolve. This is the last bastion of faith in Telduria. We must see to it that it does not fall. We must see to it that the people do not lose their faith, as many already have.
I mean, as an outside observer here, I'd suggest maybe giving your people some food that might help them receive the news a little better.
We are trying! But they must accept Valen into their hearts, or else they will never be able to be saved. You've seen the madness that runs through our streets. They must be purified in her holy light and restore order.
The best method of purification here, though. So food, maybe, get them to come in and accept Valen on some full stomachs, and then tell them about your Archcleric.
Don't think I've tried that. They will not listen to reason. The lunatics ranting and raving about how the world is godless have poisoned their minds and turned them against us. You've seen the rabble in the streets. You've seen what it's like out there. I do not want this to come to violence, but I don't know what to do in order to protect our last bastion of our faith. I need you to understand this.
Jarl will say that is precisely what we are working on, and removing those two fiends was step one.
Shalandria, first and foremost, I think it's safe to say you are the only person we trust in High Rock right now. And I think in order to keep the faith, we need to increase the faith. I think the more followers, the more faithful followers there are in High Rock right now, there's going to be, a harder time for whoever is trying to destroy it.
But that's exactly what we've been trying. Do you have any better ideas of how to spread the faith? How to restore people's faith in Valen?
They need an example. They need an example of faith. And I don't know, I look at Jarrell every morning when he wakes up.
Just creeping on me. The second I wake up, it's just Hedrick.
I watch Jarrell wake up every morning.
But it's okay, we left the blasphemers on the other side of the ocean.
Well, dagnabbit if he doesn't just approach each day bright-eyed and bushy-tailed with the glowing faith of Valen.
But is that enough to convince thousands of people we see on the streets shouting that the gods are dead and all is lost?
Let me ask you this, Shalandria. Would Valen try to convert them by starving them out?
No, but she would want
No.
law in order to prevail.
There's your yes or no answer. No, Valen would not try to convert them by starving.
And it's not that I'm intentionally starving anyone. I feed as many people as I can every day, but those who are coming in...
You. How about the rest of the church infrastructure?
We only have so much to give.
Do you now?
We have to feed the mouths of our own people in the campus as well. All of the new recruits and all of the trainees and the stewards and the...
So, if we were to, say, ask for the storerooms to be opened for a quick little audit, we wouldn't find any massive hoards being stored away, not in the hands of the people, would we?
You shouldn't. No, not to my knowledge. From what I know, and from the people who bring me, the things I need to run the soup kitchen every day. I mean, we're running on, what little supplies we have left. Don't forget, it's not like we've had any new supplies come into the city in quite some time. Everyone has been. All trade routes have sort of slowed down ever since all the unrest happened. People are scared to do business here.
Jarrell.
Boris pulls a tiger steak out of her pocket and literally slaps Shalandria in the face with it.
Tiger steak.
You gotta
No,
jump
I
to do
tried
it.
so damn.
It's like little Mike.
So like throws it at her face, so it like smacks her in the face.
I tried. I was building to something, and I tried so hard.
It's okay. See, Nicole doesn't. Nicole or Boris, for that matter, does not know Shelly from High Rock just yet.
She's
About to. The tiger steak kind of sticks for a second and then slowly slides down her face and stains her, white clothes. And she stands there, stunned for a moment. You can see that her pale complexion slowly becomes more and more red with rage. You can see that she's clenching her fists and looking down. Her body begins to shake a little bit as she's like trying to hold in the anger that is now bubbling up to the surface. And she just shoots you a glare, Boris, and says, "Where did you get that? And why did you throw it at me?" She says through gritted teeth.
Well, if you've only got a few of them, I figured you needed it back since I found a bin full of them in your storeroom with all the other food.
She picks it up and examines it, and she's like, "What is this?" And she looks at the paladins. "What is this? Where did this come from? I've been making soup from scraps and old vegetables."
Yeah,
as
Zero turns to the head paladin and looks very pointedly. The lady asked for an answer. Time to produce.
And as she's holding it out, though, after a few moments, you see that this perfectly preserved steak just completely dissolves in her hands into liquid. And melts to the ground. And she just goes, "What? What? What kind of trickery is this?"
Boris pauses for a moment, thinks about the liquefying steak, and immediately rips all of the other food out of her pockets as fast as possible.
So Boris is now emptying pounds and pounds of the food.
Hundreds of pounds, I think.
Please make sure you don't take the head out too.
Just the food. Just the food.
That went into a different pocket.
Okay, I'm glad you can tell which pocket's which pocket.
Not my head.
Just empty all your pockets.
I keep my bubblegum cigarettes as well.
And everyone is kind of just sitting there in bewilderment as you, this short 12-year-old or 13-year-old girl, is now opening up these tiny pockets in her armor and pulling out large amounts of supplies. And yes, again, after a few moments, all of them dissolve into dust and liquid. The vegetables dissolve into just powder. And all the meats dissolve into just a bloody mess.
I guess Boris turns to Shalandria and goes, "You really didn't know about this?"
What is happening today?
I mean, I thought you were starving your people, so I stole this to give to them, but apparently I very much misread this situation.
You stole from the holy stores of the campus of... I need to sit down.
Oh, here, you should take this too, and I throw her the head.
She bobbles it for a minute and then just throws it on the ground. And she but then she sees it on the ground and it's the head of Bronson with a mustache painted on it, and she's like, "This is the Archcleric! Blasphemers! Take them to the dungeons!"
Nope, saw that coming.
And you are now surrounded by at least 30 paladins as they are all rounding you up to cuff you and bring you to the dungeons for patricide.
Again, Jarrell will put his hand out. Now, you do recall that we were fighting a doppelganger, correct?
But it's...
That is its head.
Why would you go through the trouble of painting a disguise on it?
I don't know, ask Hedrick. And Jarrell's going to roll another persuasion.
Please do.
Alright, that's really good. 27.
Ooh. 26.
Oh, well, we just squeaked by on that one.
She like pauses for a moment. She's like, wait, hold on. You're right. I may have been a little too hasty. It's just this is a little too much to take in. Uncuff them, please. Just give us a moment. In fact, just give us a moment, please leave. And she like ushers everyone else to leave.
It's probably
We almost had enough time for the orb to be unblocked. I feel like this has been going on for a while.
It's been going on for about 10 minutes. Yeah, I'll say there's just a couple minutes left. Just like I like where this conversation's going. This is fantastic. She just kind of like, you see her like trying to like slow her breathing down and like just calm herself. She's even like talking to herself a little bit. She's like, "You're better than this. The blasphemers aren't here. Just don't take it out on them." She's just like kind of coaching herself through it now, and then finally looks up and she says, "Okay, we need to clean this mess up and we need to investigate what's going on beyond this barrier. So we will wait." And cue like some silly music or whatever for a moment while we wait the next like 5-10 minutes for the barrier to dissipate. Is there any like comical noise that happens once it's gone? Like when the spell ends? Hedrick, I'm gonna leave that up to you.
Well, I would think you might hear a faint music box version of Hedrick's Force Cage song. So if you could think of the little
Yeah.
and then it just kind of like sizzles away. It's invisible, so you wouldn't really notice that. But I think because it was cast with music, that you might.
Yeah,
hear
I was just trying to see if there's any sort of indication, right, that it would have ended. So, okay. Once that happens, you can see as soon as the force cage disappears, there's probably like a beat 1, 2, and then that gooey mess that's on the floor from all the dissolved meats and vegetables coagulates into one solid mass of food.
After I notice the force cage disappears, it just happens like almost immediately?
Yes.
Whoa.
Solid mass of food. Okay, does it like? Are we talking like a giant hunk of meat, or is it like
If
an
it had-
amalgamation that's like half blueberry, half banana, half meat, half bone, half fur, half like?
It's a lot of halves, first of all, that you're listing there, so...
That's 3.5 things.
It's kind of like that, and the best way I can describe it is that if this had 2 eyes and a mouth, it'd be looking at you saying, "Please kill me." It is grotesque and unappetizing. It's almost like a gigantic meatball has like formed in the room, right? That's just like a combination of every piece of food that you pulled out of
I'm
here.
imagining Pizza the Hut from Spaceballs.
Yeah. That's actually pretty apt. Yeah, except with more fruits
That's what I'm imagining.
and less cheese.
Look, Shelly, your food problem solved.
She like retches.
It's okay. We have a clue. Something was separating the orb from the outside world, and the food no longer held shape. As soon as that barrier was removed and the orb is exposed to the outside world, once again, everything in its sphere of influence, and we're going to assume it's a relatively big sphere of influence, reconstituted all that food.
You can hear now the marching of boots coming back up the stairs.
Shelly, it appeared Bronson was particularly interested in that orb, and he had his hands on it while he was casting some foul spiritual magic. It did not look like anything good or holy. It looked evil. Has that orb always been here, or do you know what that is?
I don't come up here very often at all. It's not my place. This is way
Well,
above my station.
Boris also runs
Gerald.
and closes the door quick, hearing the marching feet.
You do that. The door is now closed.
I
A few
believe
moments
that
later,
orb-
there is now a pounding again at the doors, and they are saying, you can hear a voice behind saying, "Apprehend the blasphemers immediately."
Yeah.
Jarrell would like to do a religion check on the orb.
A religion
See if I
check?
know it. Is it? Would it really just be Arcana? Would that be the only way to do it?
I mean, that's probably going to give you the most information. A religion check is going to probably tell you if it has any religious significance.
Yeah, I just don't have good Arcana.
I mean, you may learn something from a religion check, but like, what are you trying to discern about it, essentially? You know what I mean?
I'm trying to figure out like what it is really.
I mean, try your religion check, and I'll let you know what you can, deduce. And then another voice from behind the door, "Grab the battering ram!" And you hear these dudes go, "For fuck's sake, really?"
21 on the religion check.
This type of orb, you know that typically when it comes to divine magic, orbs are not used to channel divine magic through. That's usually a holy symbol or something inscribed with a holy symbol. You see no holy symbol or no bearance of a holy symbol on this orb
Okay.
at all. So, to your knowledge, this has no religious significance.
Jarrell will turn to Quinn. I don't want to touch it. Can you use your magic hand and pop it into Boris's pocket again?
Yep. So Quinn casts Mage Hand and does what Jarrell asked me to do.
Yeah, the orb seems to be fastened somehow and stuck fast into this plinth that it's like set into. So like your mage hand, applying whatever, like 10 pounds of lift essentially, right, is unable to remove it from it being set into there. Then you kind of see like the hamburger helper hand or whatever. Actually, what does your mage hand look like? I just always imagine it looking like the hamburger helper hand.
It's pink.
It's pink.
Yeah.
Does it like look like more cartoonish? Or does it look more
Yeah,
like wispy
kinda-
and magical?
It kind of has I don't even call it pink. Like it just kind of has like a hue to it.
Actually,
and
knowing
it ha-
Quinn, it probably has like dainty fingers too, because Quinn.
Yeah, it's not super. I didn't want to like be super. Yeah, so it kind of like it's very well manicured.
Okay. No, great. That's perfect. This like little pink like spectral hand is like trying to pull this thing off, but it cannot.
Mm-hmm.
How large is the plinth that it's attached to?
It's only the plinth itself stands about, let's see, maybe 4.5 feet tall, and then the orb then sits on top of that.
Can Jarrell lift the plinth?
No, that's like actually set into the,
Okay,
to the
I was
ground
just
here.
gonna put the whole plinth in your pocket.
Boris kind of
Just
climbs
rip it out of the
up.
ground.
Boris climbs up the plinth, opens a pocket, and just kind of like belly flops off the side of the plinth, encasing it and the orb in her pocket, but then being like, I guess, stuck at the ground beside it because it's.
Yeah, you're stuck
I
up.
was gonna
You're
do.
stuck now upside down.
But the
with-
orb is technically in my pocket.
Yes, and the
Yeah.
knocking stops.
I had a feeling that was gonna happen.
And then you can hear a voice, and you can hear a voice from behind the door saying, "What are you doing with the battering ram? Bring that back downstairs!" And you hear the guys go, "Come on!"
You know what? Fuck this job.
Jarrell, I think this is just like when we destroyed that giant brain of that Mudget fella. There was an orb there that you stabbed into with your sword, and it destroyed him.
Jarrell turns to Zero. That was my next step. Should we destroy it?
As much as it would probably serve us to keep this as a piece of evidence, we can't very well leave the Baron of Riverford upside down over the top of it for an indeterminate amount of time. I feel like
Claire tries
that's
to like
probably...
air swim to spin herself so she can see the conversation.
You kind of like just like put your hands out. You're kind of like handstand walking. You know what I mean? Like to like turn yourself around. Yeah.
If I'm gonna go out on a limb, I'd say we're probably better killers than detectives. So I'm still gonna say that leaving her draped over the top of our piece of evidence indefinitely might not be the best procedure. That said,
Jarrell will pick up Boris and like pull her like all the 4 feet up off of it.
That said, I was going to say, we're not a very arrestable bunch, and if these people really try to press the issue, it's going to end very badly for some people in this place, and it's probably not going to be us.
Shalandria walks over to where Boris is now encased in the orb, and she says, "There is obviously foul magic at play. I've been able to put that together here. If you don't mind staying in that position for a moment, I would like to maybe try to say a prayer and try to consecrate the ground here. Hopefully something good can come out of it." And so she kneels.
Oh yeah, take your time, pray away.
So she kneels before the altar, an effigy of Valen that's set into the back here. She's praying in multiple languages. And after about 30 seconds, you can start to see like a golden aura almost start to shimmer over her skin. And then there's a bright flash of light that emanates from her. And she stands up and turns towards all of you with her eyes like glowing bright white, like you can't even see her pupils or irises anymore. It's just like glowing golden light. And you hear the voice of Valen speak through her mouth. "Jarrell, our time is short. My champion, this is the gravest of grave times. I am fighting a battle that I cannot hope to win alone. The old gods have perished. I have taken their power. They have, with their dying breaths, bestowed it upon me, and I fight Vecna and his armies in the divine plains alone. You must help me. You and your companions are the only ones who can stop this. A chain of events has been set in motion that cannot be stopped now, and I fear if you cannot find a way to ascend, there will be no Telduria to call home anymore. This is our gravest hour, Jarrell. Destroy the orb. Destroy any traces of Vecna you can see, and seek the path to ascension. You, and you alone, can do this. And then she turns to Zero. And Zero, before I go, it is time you realized the true potential of your powers. And Shalandria places her hand on your shoulder, and you feel this rush of magical energy surge through all of your joints and like constructed like tubes and like everything that you're made of. Just like you feel this like almost burning fire within you. And for a brief moment you sprout wings of fire that then disappear and fade away into embers. And with that flash of light, Shalandria returns back to herself. And she says, "Did you feel that?"
Be difficult not to, yes.
What happened? I feel like I lost control.
Well, you've managed to succeed at what our good friend Paladin here's been attempting to do for quite a bit yet. You, good lady, managed to channel the Lady Valen.
And she, like, immediately drops down again to her knees and, like, frantically begins praying and, like, offering her thanks to, Valen for, using her as a vessel and blah, blah, blah. Like, she's just now going on and on, like, what did she say? What did she tell you to do?
Jarrell will just say this, and again begin removing Boris from the plinth.
Another shout from the door. Arrest the blasphemers! Gather the battering ram! Not this shit again!
The sword of justice out, swinging. He's just gonna keep hitting it until he destroys it.
Yeah, I can imagine just Jarrell just like rage swinging it, just like just like smashing it to pieces. Yeah, you destroy it. You smash it into a fine dust. With every slice of your sword of justice, like you can see beams of light, just kind of carving it. Like it still keeps its shape, but you can just kind of see like you're almost like creating this cross section of slashes across the entire orb until eventually, like that light just begins to spread and it just shatters into pieces. And you can
bring the battering
like,
ram downstairs again. Back downstairs.
You actually hear the sound of a bunch of bodies collapsing.
Oh, okay.
There's sort of a still silence now that the orb has been shattered after the sounds of bodies collapsing in the hallway. Shelley is just still knelt in prayer and is just hoping, that this was the end of it for now. What do you guys do now?
Are there windows?
There's a few small ones, like they're barely windows. They're just like holes cut in, right? Like looking out. There's actually I think I mentioned there was some stained glass and stuff like that as well.
I'm mostly just looking to look out the tower at the square and see what the people are doing.
Yeah, there's a vantage point for that. You can see that all the people in the streets a lot have dispersed. But from up here, it's kind of hard to see. They all look like ants.
Okay.
But there are some people still on the streets, but there seems to be a lot less movement.
Jarrell will go and put his hand on the door of the room.
It doesn't. It actually almost just can swing, and actually you see a door handle appear now.
Okay. Which way did it go? Did it come towards us or did it go the other way? We always
know how the door opens. I'm not going to be a dick to you.
I opened the door the appropriate way.
Yeah, you can see that there's a column. You can see that there is a column of paladins who are unconscious, lying on the ground. 6 of them who are still carrying a battering ram.
Do they appear to be asleep, or are they
they're unconscious. You can see that there is breathing happening.
Okay. Does it appear like any of them their lives are in danger? Or any of them breathing with a rest, or or they need a
Make me a medicine check.
Is the battering ram on any of their chests?
No.
Did it crush any of them?
No.
Ooh. It's a 4 plus a 2.
For medicine?
Yeah.
You know as much as that they are breathing and unconscious.
Hedrick will pull out his lute.
Mm-hmm.
And just start playing. Hopefully maybe his music will help rouse some of these guys back on their feet.
Yeah, actually after a few moments some of them begin to sort of groggily wake up. And they, hear your music and they kind of all look around confused. and what appears to be the commander. I gave him a name, didn't I? And I didn't write it down.
Certainly none of the heroes would have remembered it anyways.
It's a new guy now. The commander that appears to have been leading this bunch, the one who was, shouting from beyond the door to up, down, with the, battering ram, stands up and just like kind of looks confused at Jarrell and into the room, sees Shalandria and the corpse on the ground and a gigantic ball of unknown foodstuffs.
Is it still a ball of unknown foodstuffs now that the orb that was sustaining it has been destroyed?
Oh, no, yeah, you're right. It's back to a puddle of blood and dust.
Okay.
Looks up and says, What happened?
Captain, don't worry. We've destroyed the source of the evil in
Commander.
the spire. Commander,
I'm the
sorry.
captain.
Apologies. It appears that whatever was controlling you and your men was also possessing the arch-cleric. We have destroyed a pillar of power here. We now need to investigate. We need a citywide assessment of what is going on now.
Oh, he says, oh, my head. What day is it? How long have I been out?
Since none of us actually established it, but in character we would know, Zero gives him an accurate accounting of the date.
It's Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Yay.
Something of whatever. Who knows
That
how
means
much time
tomorrow's
this guy's
Thursday.
actually lost track of.
I'm just saying it.
Zero just tells him accurately what day it is and what day of the month and all that.
He says, I don't even know how I got here. The last thing I remember was the shrine to Mistra falling.
Shalandria, how long ago did the shrine to Mistra fall?
She says, well, that must have been a month or two ago.
Okay.
And she looks him over. She says, "Are you saying you remember nothing from beyond? None of the conversations that you and I had?" And the commander just says, "No, madam. I do not. I need to get my men down to safety. We need to take stock. Something terrible has happened here. Jarrell and company. Join us at some point, will you? We need to collect ourselves. Come on, men." And he starts, rousing them, getting them up on their feet. On your feet! And he starts to guide them down the stairs.
I suppose we would follow them down. There's nothing really more to do up here.
Shalandria stops you, actually, before you guys follow. She says, "Wait, Jarrell. I just want to say I'm sorry for my demeanor earlier. I'm also a bit confused as to why I seem to have not suffered any of the ill effects that my fellow, men and women of the faith have apparently been suffering under for months. I don't know what happened here, but I suspect that, the Archcleric Popeson must know about this immediately. Would you like me to send word back to Ardwall of what happened here?"
Jarrell would send word because he's still trusting of Popeson. John knows that's probably not the smartest thing to do, but Jarrell would send word to Popeson.
Okay.
Boris actually holds a hand up and says, maybe we should all collect all of our information before we send word, just so we know what to be sending and speak to your commander and kind of get a better idea of what's going on.
That might be wise. You don't want to give him half the answer, correct?
The Baron raises
That's-
a good point. We need to be sending something that's a little fully fleshed out. Something else we may need to consider is that we would need to be able to trust whomever we have as our courier a little more implicitly than normal, as to say that there are friendly eyes might be.
She says, I have the best, most trustworthy courier right here. And she kind of like puts her fingers to her mouth and whistles. Like a little, like almost like a lower, like a tone. And one of the ravens from the rafters flies down and lands on her shoulder.
Are those all of your pets, Shelly?
Well, they belong to the church.
It's interesting that you command these beasts and allow them into the temple, but that is quite a relationship you seem to have with them.
Oh, it's one of the talents I must not have shared with you in our last conversation.
I'm just a little curious for such an important place. It seems to me that from what we've seen with the doppelgangers and some of the other stuff I have seen in the company of these heroes, possession is a very real thing, and magical possession can be manifested into different creatures. Certainly, prying eyes and other forms of being able to disguise oneself. I'm just a little curious as to your trust of these.
Are you
animals
saying?
in such a holy place?
Are you saying that Reginald here is a doppelganger? And she looks at the raven in the eyes,
No,
and it kind of like cocks its head to the side and like looks at her with the their eyes are on the side of their head.
of course it would be Reginald too.
Well,
Eldritch, I'm
Shelley-
not sure how long you've been running with us, but Corvids and their ilk have seemed to be, how best to put this, straight shooters with us. More or less.
She says, well, if you require any assistance then in your investigation, I will make sure that whatever resources I can spare and convince the church to spare will be at your disposal. We are also currently without an acting arch-cleric, so we'll have to sort this whole mess out. But
I guess you're in charge.
Yep. Well,
she kind of like recoils. She's like, I wouldn't know. The first thing about,
Shalandria, it's okay. Breathe. Look at me. By the power vested in me as Valen's Avatar of War, I am naming you Acting Arch-Cleric. You take care of people. Do what you do best. Take care of people. We're going to sort this out.
And she just kind of looks around and she says, if needs must. Well, I guess the first order of business is to get this mess cleaned up. I'll go get a few good men and we'll get this thing sorted out.
Good. You're
Please.
the best Arch-Cleric I've ever seen.
She blushes.
He doesn't lie.
She blushes she is now not red with anger, but now red with just flush red with. I wouldn't even call it embarrassment, just it's quite the compliment.
Humility.
Yeah.
You didn't want it, Shalandria. You'd have never asked for it, and you'd have turned it down if anyone else would have told you to. That's how we know you're perfect for the job.
What a lovely sentiment. And I think on that little note is where we are going to end this episode of the Hapless Heroes podcast and close out our release schedule for the year of 2020. I just want to say before we go into our usual spiel and outro that in addition to just thanking you for listening to us, this has probably been one of the most challenging years for all of us personally, and I think for maybe many of you listening as well. I think I'd be hard pressed to find anyone who said that, who would say that 2020 was a great year for them. And we've had to pull a lot of strings and readjust a lot of the ways that, we make this show happen and, come to you in your living room or car or wherever you're listening to this. And we just want to thank you for all of your support, all the people coming in, saying all these wonderful things about, how the show has been helping them get through this year. And to be honest with you, it's been helping us get through this year too, because it's a chance for us to escape from all the stressors in our lives for at least like an hour to an hour and a half, or every Monday we gather. We're gonna probably take a 2 to 3 week break, and we'll be returning back in 2021 in January with some more material, including some special episodes with one of our $100 patron donors. It's going to be a great time. It's going to give us some time to prepare and hopefully steel ourselves for what's going to be a crappy winter, but hopefully a better year overall, as the world hopefully heals from all this crap that we're going through today. So I just want to say again, thank you all for listening. Thank you for being a part of this journey with us. Thank you for giving us the time of your day. We'll still be on Discord and all these places for you to interact with us, as we enjoyed some of the holiday time with our families, even though that may be remotely this year. We hope and wish that you guys all enjoy your holidays, and we can all together usher in a new year that's hopefully better and brighter than the one we just had. So that being said, if you like us, you can find us on the internet. We are found on such places as Twitter and Instagram at Hapless Heroes. You can search Reddit and Facebook for Hapless Heroes Podcast. Many of those places will just point you to, like I said before, the crown jewel of our internet presence, our Discord server, where most of us are actually hanging out all the time. You can meet and interact with us, other listeners, get in on the conversations that we're having about the show, about our furry creatures at home, about hot topics of debate like pineapple on pizza and things like that. Just anything and everything. We would love to have you as part of our audience. It really just would brighten our day. And if you really, really like us, you can leave us a 5-star review on the podcast service of your choice. That anywhere that really accepts reviews, I think that they've changed the way that reviews are offered, and a lot of places just don't do that stuff anymore. Apparently it's antiquated or whatever, but however you want to send us those kind words, we will make sure that we read them and say some nice things back to you on the air. And if reviews aren't your thing, you can just drop us an email at haplessheroes@gmail.com. But now, if you really, really like us, you could donate to our Patreon. It's just patreon.com/haplessheroes. We've got a whole fat array of rewards on there, from unreleased audio to shiny rolls in our Discord server and a special secret channel where you can go be snooty with all the other donors and raise your pinkies in the air with your golden nameplates. As well as contents of James's notebooks from the first 100 episodes to everything. We got a whole bunch of stuff on there, and the more I can find, the more I'll add to it. Just patreon.com/haplessheroes. Check it out.
And if you like us right now, you love us. Sally Field, correct? And the whole deal. So I was gonna suggest making a Mount Rushmore out of mashed potatoes, but I think that would be too difficult. So you can pick the 4 favorite characters of the Hapless Heroes and make a Mount Rushmore out of any potato-based substance of your choosing, if you really love us.
Nice. I'm actually going to add a second one onto this, since we're going to be leaving you guys with a few extra weeks to mull it over. I would love to see someone write a 12 Days of Christmas song, except it's 12 Days of Telduria in the style of Hapless Heroes.
Nice.
I think I just saw Phil already starting to write that. he's already got pencil to
Save it for the audience.
Someone's got to beat Phil to it. Now there's your challenge too. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and outro this cast for the last time this year. we've had the wonderful, the amazing, the ever-powerful Lord Jarrell the Light, played by John.
Until next time.
Phil playing the illustrious, the talented Hedrick the Entertainer.
So long. Thank you.
Nicole as the ingenious, the inventive, the impulsive Boris the Butcher.
Thanks, everyone. My pockets feel so light now.
Mike as the ever humble Lord and Captain Quinn Southwind.
Of course, always at your pleasure.
And finally, rounding out this beautiful cast, Dave as the new and improved Zero, Valen's Avatar of War.
Just like I told Shalandria to take care of people, I'm telling you, dear audience, take care of people. We'll be back soon.
And I'm Francesco. I have been your host and DM. We will return next year. Until then, bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.